Hello and welcome back to Speed Model. So this is the very last episode, and as promised last time, what we're gonna do is we're gonna move into doing animation related stuff. Now, I do have a little disclaimer, and that is the fact that because we are using the motion capture data that I captured some time back, there are certain rules I have to follow regarding monetization of that content. In fact, if you remember, I tried to vlog about this, and well, I had to jump through some hoops to make sure it was okay to monetize that particular vlog. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually try and avoid that sort of chaos this time. Instead, what I'm gonna do is, in this particular video, which is monetized, I will basically not be showing you any part of the animation. So what this means is there are some things I have to do off screen. What's gonna happen after this is that the whole result, which is of course a final animation, will not be shown to you in this particular video. I'll release another video that is also publicly accessible but not monetized, and you should be able to see this in your sub box. I will set it up to release at the same time as this particular video. So yeah, you'll see the results of the animation in that video. This video is just how I put it all together, minus some parts that, involve me scrubbing through the animation. Sorry for the extremely roundabout way of doing things, but yeah, I really don't want to go through the same amount of trouble I went through last time. Anyway, it's time to delve into the animation. You're watching episode 6 of Speed Model. I begin by hiding all of the environment objects and turn my attention back to the mesh itself. I go ahead and import the motion capture data from last time, which imports as a set of bones that are already animated. You can see the IPO curves here that record the movement. I scale the skeleton and match it to the mesh as closely as possible. Then I enter a weight painting mode. I'm about to start a process called skinning, which is basically me specifying which parts of the mesh is affected by which bone. I can do this by painting with a brush. This feature in Blender also lets multiple bones affect one area, and I can even weight the influence by using a lighter stroke. The amount of weight is indicated by the color of the area. Of course, I'm just doing a rough job now. When we apply the skeleton, some things may look weird, and we'll have to adjust more at that point. Once the skinning is done and we let the skeleton influence the mesh, we notice one big problem, and that is the hair, which seemed to be deforming quite strangely. I decided to postpone that to look at later, and instead to focus on the skinning itself. To fix some of the skinning issues, I brushed on lower weighted influence into the affected areas. The next issue is how the character appears to tiptoe the whole time. I noticed this problem from the time we captured the data. To work around this, I unbound the feet from the bone. Of course, that didn't quite work on its own. I still had to bind them to the next bone up, which is the lower leg. Then there was the issue with the hair. Notice a huge jump in time. I spent over an hour looking at possible solutions until I found something that worked. Unfortunately, that forces me to regenerate the hair. Now I realized one more thing was missing, and that was a backdrop to our scene. I had planned to do this before, but I had somehow forgotten. So I went to Clicker, one of my favorite sites for public domain images, and found a building that seems to be converted from a photo to SVG. The aesthetic was quite perfect, and so I brought it into the scene and set it up as the background. Once positioned correctly, we are all ready to begin rendering out the animation to video files. And that's all there is for this particular episode. Now, as mentioned, you will of course be able to see the results of what I've been doing in the other video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just stick a card or an annotation on screen that you can click on, and that will bring you there. So yeah, go watch it and then come back and let me waffle a bit and conclude the series. Anyway, well, that's it. That's all there is for this particular series. Now, like I mentioned, a lot of things that I have done throughout both the modeling and the animation stages are extremely simplified. in the real world, when modeling particularly a more realistic humanoid character, a lot more things need to be done. For example, you probably won't be, directly painting a texture map with the clothes directly onto the mesh itself. Also, if it was a realistic humanoid character, you would expect a lot more work to go into the face, which, well, is something I didn't do because my character basically works with just a spherical head, and that's not normally the case for a realistic model. Most people also model the clothes as a separate mesh, that's something I didn't do as well. And when it comes to the part involving the skeleton, they don't normally, import a set of bones and then directly bind the bones to the mesh. What they'll do is they'll have bones already on the mesh and weight painted like we did in this episode. And then what they'll do is they'll grab the animation from that set of bones and sort of try to map it to the existing set of bones in this character. That can be a potentially complex process, which is why, I didn't really do it. In fact, I have no clue how to do it in Blender. I've tried it in Maya as part of, my coursework. But not in Blender. I've never tried that before. So despite all this, and despite these slightly wonky looking results, hopefully this gave you some insight into the entire process, and more importantly, hopefully this was entertaining. Hopefully it was as fun for you to watch as it was for me to actually create. So yeah, that wraps it up for the 3rd season of Speed Model. I hope you had a good time, but that's all there is. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, you're watching 0612 TV. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked this video, consider checking out the rest of my work on my channel. Alternatively, you may be interested in the last season of Speed Model. If you'd like to show me some monetary support, I am on Patreon. You can find a link to my campaign in the video description. Of course, you can simply like this video or leave a comment. I'll be sure to respond as soon as I can. To keep in touch with my future uploads, do subscribe to this channel. And for even more updates, check out the official Twitter account for this channel at 0612TV. Thank you for your support.